Hello. This week we're going to revisit the topic of sitting. Just because modern culture has decided that the chair is the only option as a seat for us does not mean that we need to follow this rule. In the first part of this video, I'll demonstrate a few options, like this first one, Seiza, on my toes in a fully flexed position. And this is just one of several that we can choose from in various different situations. So here's a more relaxed option with my feet extended rather than flexed and on my toes. A little more approachable, but less optimal as far as spinal alignment. Now here's one that I know as 90-90. So both hips are in a flexed position, but one is externally rotated while the other is internally rotated. And then we can do the opposite side. This is nice because we've got a large, wide platform for support with our legs, and we can easily rest on our sit bones. But the rotational aspect of the hip joint might be challenging for many. So here's another alternative. One leg square, and then you can switch that to both legs, and then you can switch that again. And you can cycle through these options throughout the day or however long you might be sitting. And then of course crisscross, we're all familiar with. This is a challenging one though, because the tendency is to, as I'll demonstrate here in a moment, either extend or dump and sag. Nope. So just like when we were sitting on the bench, we want to try and be neutral, balanced, as much as we can. But again, this is just one option. We're not confined to a single sitting variation. So back to Seiza. This is what I think we should all strive for as our default ground posture. This puts us in a fully erect spine position. You can still maintain neutral, stable spine. The toe hyperdorsiflexion is probably what most people find challenging about this, but I'll discuss how to progress into this position later on. And as you can see, you can turn this into training, just like all the positions that we train. Lengthening spine further, expanding posterior rib cage, finding greater and greater stability. And you can breathe here for a good long time and get used to it, adapt to it, and get better at it with time. And so here I am, instead of a desk, I've got a bench or a small coffee table, and I can apply these various sitting positions and do whatever work I need to do from a more sustainable position than, say, a chair. And of course you can go back to a chair and a regular desk, but let's not forget that we have options. We don't need to mold our bodies to a single shape or single situation. And so here's my favorite position for reading. I've got this nice tall chair, different than maybe your typical desk chair. And I can sit on these yoga blocks or something else of a moderate height and be in a nice, neutral, stable position. And with the book out in front of me, I don't need to dump my head down to look at it. I can look straight ahead comfortably. And as you can see, I can put one or the other leg into a more extended position to relax and lengthen my hip flexors, which might get tight if I'm in a flex position constantly. And so here is a stretch to help us progress into the Seiza sitting position that I suggested is the optimal one. And it is a challenging posture, but it's one that we all have access to and that we can regain control of or, comfort in. So spine first, always. We're emphasizing stable, neutral spine first. And then I can slowly hinge back toward my heels, releasing whatever tension's trying to pull me into extension. or further into flexion, beyond neutral. And with each exhale, I can sit a little bit further back. Now, you may feel the front of your foreleg, your shin area, the muscles there, restricting you. They will be very tight. And that is what we are consciously relaxing as we sit further back. Our toes are certainly not used to being fully dorsiflexed like this, especially if we're walking around in shoes. They never have to express this range. So we're regaining that slowly and gently, not forcing anything. And you may not even be able to get your butt down to your heels yet. It could take time, and that's perfectly fine because we're not in any rush. And then once we're here, again, we can spend a good bit of time relaxing further, maintaining stability, adapting to this position, and learning to be comfortable here, balanced, stable. This is a great alternative to sitting in a chair or even with our butts on the floor, because like I mentioned, we are more erect here, and this is a position that our body can maintain for a good long while once we adapt to it. So I hope you give these a try and apply them to your life. I think you'll see many benefits.